The battle is over. There's only one warrior standing. The winner of the Juni Taisen is... With only one episode to go in the Juni Taisen anime series, I am surprised that the entire competition itself actually came to a close in the 11th episode, and thankfully the 11th episode was very entertaining, the first half of the episode being an epic battle between Ox and the reanimated corpse of Rabbit. The second half of the episode completely fucked with my head as they fully introduced the concept of Ratz's powers. He has the power of intervention, which essentially allows him to come up with 100 distinctive strategies, 100 branches, and some of those could lead to his victory, and others could lead to his very own death. This is a unique concept and gives him an extreme advantage in the series. Not a godly advantage in the sense that he can always predict what's going to happen, as being only able to see 100 strategies, he still can't see every single infinite outcome, but it certainly does increase his odds of winning. And yes, Rat himself is the winner of the Juni Taisen tournament. Now, before we even get to that, let's talk about the first half of the episode, which is really surprising in many senses here, as we have this final battle between Ox and Rabbit, with Ox being on top of his game, not receiving any injuries, and just basically kicking ass like he usually does throughout the series. And then we have the mangled corpse of Rabbit, which is composed of all of these different various body parts. He's a walking, shambling mess. And unfortunately, he is heavily censored. There are black splotches all over his body, which I'm guessing that's where all the little gory details are. And it's something that I think would look really awesome. Problem is, I'm definitely not going to shell out the money to check it out, so I'll probably never actually be able to see it. But still, it leaves to imagination how incredibly crazy he actually does look here. And the battle between the two is surprisingly awesome. I mean, he's not like a typical zombie or anything. I mean, he starts out like shambling, but then suddenly he starts flipping around and swinging his limbs around. I like that how he uses the two giant machetes in his hands and sort of uses them as an extra pair of legs and moves around real quick. Ox is able to deflect all of his attacks. But of course, the thing about Rabbit is he always has like a trick up his sleeve. He always has some sort of secret strategy. And it was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. We get to see that Ox is caught off guard when suddenly Rabbit's body explodes open and the reanimated corpse of Monkey Sharyu just jumps out and just plows down right on top of Ox and pins him there. Now, this image is great. This combined with just the overall action is fantastic, but I love the look of Monkey, whose face is covered in blood, her giant distinctive glasses, and these huge red glowing eyes. It's absolutely horrifying. It's one of the starkest images that I've actually seen from the entire series. It's the type of imagery that I really freaking love. And it's also put Ox in between a rock and a hard place, as apparently he knows that Rabbit doesn't want the monkey to kill him, because if the rabbit kills him, he'll be able to take over his corpse, which is still very strange that he's able to use his very own necromancy on his own body. More on that later, though. So basically he realizes the only noble way to get out of this situation and to not have his body taken over is to actually allow himself to die. Right there. He has to kill himself. He even tries to bite his tongue off, but Monkey sees to that by headbutting him right in the face and knocking a couple of teeth out. It's not until Rat just sort of casually walks up into the middle of this crazy fucking scene that we realize that, oh crap, Rat's here. We haven't seen him for a couple episodes. He's been pretty significant. He's probably going to be important here. And yes, he is. He actually has the bomb that was created by Sheep. And Ox decides to go along with his plan, going out in the blaze of glory. He tosses the bomb, walks away like a freaking badass from an action movie, and boom, it all ends in a massive explosion. And Rat is indeed the winner. I have to admit, after the battle, I felt like I wanted just a little bit more. I expected this entire tournament to be a lot more elaborate in what it was actually going to bring to the table, and there really weren't that many action-heavy episodes, which is going to be disappointing for action fans. The good news is the action during the first half of the episode was really solid, if it was a little brief, but it looked great. CG be damned, I thought it looked pretty cool. I know some people don't gel with CG animation, but there are times when it can work, and I think it actually does work to the benefit of this series. The second half of the episode is where they toss your brain into a frickin' blender and just turn it up on high, because this is when you start to learn a little bit more about Rat's powers. And he's having a conversation with the "everybody clap your hands" guy. And this is where we start to learn about his abilities. At first I thought that he had the ability to turn back time, or he had the ability to die infinitely until he got the outcome that he actually wanted. It's not until we realize that he has the power of intervention, which, like I said, allows him to come up with 100 distinct strategies. Somewhere he can die, somewhere he will live, somewhere he'll team up with other people. He has basically 100 different possibilities to choose from, and he just has to go for the best one. He can even set a point where he can keep sort of rewinding back to that moment and reliving it until he finally gets the thing that he actually needs. And there's a lot of great examples of how they use his power in this episode, where you get to see, as he is being talked to this guy, he wants to be interviewed, and he wants nothing to do with it, and he leaves. And every single time he tries to leave, he gets killed. Everything is trying to kill him. Shooting him, getting hit by cars, freaking being eaten alive by crows. Every violent possibility for how Rat could die. They, like, show it in this episode, and it's insane, because this guy's the winner, but he's arguably had the most deaths of the entire series, which I think is very freaking clever. And that's when he realizes if he sticks around, he can learn a little bit more about why the Juni Taisen exists and why there are people who are betting on countries. He gets to learn a little bit more about this, and I'm sure it's going to be like sort of like his vendetta for taking down the entire Juni Taisen altogether, because there is still going to be one more episode, and considering that all the warriors are dead, what's going to happen, and what is his wish going to be? That's the whole thing. If you win Juni Taisen, you get one wish, and because he has this special ability, intervention, he can potentially think of 100 amazing wishes and just has to go with the best one. I'm really interested to see how this series is going to wrap up and what they could possibly do for the rest of the series. For all we know, they could completely reset the entire thing with Rat's ability to use intervention. For all we know, the characters who were killed could come back. They could infinitely do Juni Taisen forever if they wanted to. Can you imagine if we saw 100 different seasons of the show which all had completely different outcomes? It's like, you know, Fate Stay Night on crack, basically. So, there it is. What's the rundown on this episode right here? I actually genuinely liked this episode. Despite the fact that I'm not a big fan of Juni Taisen, especially this late in the game, because I was sort of disappointed by it, this one right here was a solid addition to the series, delivering on the action, the philosophical stuff, and everything about Rat's power, which was fantastic. And now makes sense why everyone remembers actually seeing him, because they were a part of these 100 different scenarios. It's really clever, and I'm glad they did a great job of hiding it. Although it was very obvious that Rat was going to be important, as we haven't really seen him in a long time, and when he finally made his appearance here, it was shocking. I also have to say that I'm disappointed that the Ox went down the way he did. They made this guy seem like he was just going to be damn near unstoppable, and he got stopped by such a crazy trick. As violent and as flashy as the trick it was, you'd think how powerful this guy is, he'd be able to overpower, you know, frickin' Sharyu, but Sharyu apparently is really freaking crazy. I also really love a lot of the little moments, how Rat realizes that thanks to Tiger killing sheep, he was able to make this thing a possibility. So it's really Tiger who ended up saving the day. All the different conversations that he has with the chairman at the end of the episode, seeing the different possibilities and the subtle differences, whether it be just the animation, the things that they say, that's all really funny, and I love seeing it play out, and it was very smart how it was handled. Really, the final episode could sway how I feel about the series a little bit more, considering how good that I think this one was right here, but it remains to be seen. I'll have to see a solid conclusion before I can give my final thoughts on Juni Taisen. What I will say is this episode right here was surprisingly solid, and definitely worth your time if you're a fan of really flashy animation and really gory, crazy stuff, and just over-the-top sci-fi styled abilities which allow you to basically have 100 different outcomes. It was a crazy episode of Juni Taisen, maybe one of the best episodes of the entire series. The problem was, it just came too late. What I will say is the episode itself was not perfect. The second half of the episode was slightly long-winded, but I have to admit, I was being drawn in the entire time. So I'm giving this episode right here a 4 out of 5. One of the stronger episodes of Juni Taisen, so check it out, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the episode, and you can tell me in the comments section below, and what you hope to see from the final episode of Juni Taisen. Were you shocked by this episode's events? Were you surprised that Rat was the winner? What did you think of the battle between Ox and Rabbit? And what are you thinking of the series so far? I'd just love to hear all your thoughts. Tell me in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and as always, stay down there, baby.